Hello, and once again, we are live with the Modern Mystery School UK EU podcast and YouTube channel. And yes, I have had non-stop messages, Al, because somehow it seems like we've promised to share with people how they're going to get rich. So here we go. It's going live. Tell me, is it true? Is Jupiter the answer to all of our dreams? How does it work?
He's one of the answers. One of the answers. But yes, Jupiter is the planet of fortune and abundance. And I have this little running joke whenever I do natal chart readings. I always ask people, okay, are you ready to hear about the planet of fortune and abundance? I never get no.
I'm in already. When you put this subject forward for us to chat about, I was like, okay, I'm all ears.
Absolutely. And so, you know, like I just mentioned, of course, when you look at your natal chart, Jupiter is the planet of fortune and abundance. And so where he is indicates how you receive fortune and abundance in your life. And so we have what are called dispositions of Jupiter, and they go by the sign that he's in and by the house that he's in. And when you start reading those two in combination, what happens is you actually get an insight into how you bring abundance into your life. And so, for example, people who have Jupiter in fire signs tend to have that entrepreneurial spirit. They tend to be inventive, and they also tend to be go-getters, right? They're the ones who like to kind of, I guess you could say, chase after money, right? And so, you know, when Jupiter is more so in the air signs, it's all about relationships. It's all about who you know, and abundance tends to come through communication, actually. Communication, the use of ideas, teaching, you know, anything that's relationship based, right? Whereas Jupiter in the water signs is more so about the creative means. And so those are our artists, but they're also the people who nurture and care for society as well, right? And so very often people who work in healthcare or in working with younger children or any of those kind of compassionate roles often have Jupiter in water signs, right? And then, of course, there's Jupiter in the earth signs, and those are our, you know, downright business people. But they're also the people who know how to work with resources. And so they know how to move things. They know what's a good deal. They see the value in things. They see the value in things over time. And so, like, this is just a very brief kind of overall picture. But when we start looking at Jupiter in the natal chart, we have a better idea of how we bring abundance into our lives so that we can actually put ourselves in those streams, I guess. You know, Jupiter tells us the stream where you draw abundance from.
I love that. And so in any given time, are there times when we can take more advantage of these streams?
Absolutely. And so this is where other forecasting techniques come in. So, for example, you know, when I do forecasting and we take a look at what's happening in the year, one of the things that I look at in particular are aspects to Jupiter. Because when you have aspects to Jupiter happening, those are your times to say apply for new jobs or to put yourself out there in the public and advertise, you know, because I know I'm talking to a lot of healers right now, you know, to put yourself in the limelight. Because yes, Jupiter is a planet of money, but he's also the planet of opportunity. Right. And so very often Jupiter's energy works through connecting you to people. And it often manifests as being in the right place at the right time. And so you can go, so for example, aspects to Jupiter are often 3 weeks. Now, if something is retrograde, they can be a longer period, but generally Jupiter aspects are 3 weeks long, right? And so very often you get these 3-week windows where it might be your time to do advertising, where it might be your time to buy a home or sell a home, because those are also means of abundance that people often don't think about. Like we often think of, like the cash, right? But Jupiter can also indicate making the investments that are going to grow over time as well. And so when you have these 3-week periods of Jupiter activity within your chart, it gives you a really good idea of things that you can act upon. Like I said, whether it's calling attention to yourself, whether it's advertising, whether it is teaching, whether it is buying or selling a home, or making other acquisitions, whether it is making investments. These are all things that you can actually find in a forecast. And then there's also something really cool called the footprints of Jupiter.
Ooh.
And the footprints of Venus work very similar as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the footprints of Jupiter, everyone has 8 days in the year. So wherever Jupiter is in your chart, it's like he reflects himself into 7 other positions, making this octagon in your chart.
Oh, I love that.
And so everyone ends up with these lucky days. And it's kind of funny because there was actually a study about lottery winners. And so there were some astrologers who actually went and studied like the big winners, right? And so what they found was that quite a few of the people who won, like who really hit the jackpot, had played the lottery on their lucky Jupiter day.
Okay.
One of the 8 days. It was either Jupiter or Venus.
We're going to have rocket sales now of lottery tickets and people finding out.
Well, they need to find out what their Jupiter days are first. So I think that's the first rocket sale.
They're going to be calling you, and then, oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And so you can find out what those days are in your chart. And I always tell people, whenever I work with this, because for example, when on my lucky Jupiter and Venus days, those are days that I do rituals for abundance, but those are also days that I try to do events, or at the very least put something out in the public to draw attention, because it's going to be very well received.
That's such a great thing to do. And Al, so what happens if there's some kind of out of balance or some healing around? I mean, is there anything that people can do? Because I hear a lot of people out there saying they have difficulty with abundance and things like that. So are there certain things that people can do to support this lucky stream, if you like?
Oh, absolutely. So of course, the first thing is you have to recognize how Jupiter is functioning in your chart, right? You have to understand his nature. Mm-hmm. But sometimes his nature isn't the best in your chart, right? And so to give you an example, sometimes when Jupiter is in too good of a place, people lack abundance. And it's not because they're unable to manifest it. It's because they're unable to manage it.
Interesting.
Right. And so of course, there's a number of things that we can do. And so right off the bat, I always tell people, first of all, life activation activates the very best parts of your chart. Right. And then also going through like the Hermetic Ray Universal Kabbalah process, very much purifies your relationship with all of the planets. Now, I know in November in Toronto, there's a healing that's going to be handed down soon. Actually, it's 2, the Kabbalistic and Enochian healing series. Mm-hmm. And the Kabbalistic healing is also another great way to purify like your relationship, one to the tree of life, but of course to the planets, because they're intertwined that way. Right.
I'm so looking forward to that. That's going to be amazing. And I love that we can do universal Kabbalah. I mean, we've got quite a few trees starting around the world at the moment. So this is really useful information, so check out the diaries in your local area. In London, we've got one in December. So yeah, this is great news.
Yeah, and there's going to be a bunch of new practitioners with that Kabbalistic and Enochian healing series, which is really exciting too.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget to use ritual work, right? And so, like, you know, like I mentioned, I personally do abundance rituals on my Jupiter and Venus days. And so that's one thing that you can do for those of you who have attended Empower Thyself. You have the calling upon ritual. You know, don't be afraid to call in these powers, right? You develop a relationship with them, and, you know, and to work and follow through with the energy that you call in, right? And of course, there's the Wiccan, like the Wiccan path as well, and being able to work with your spells and your charms. You know, for those of you who've attended Earth Awakening, you know, you have an abundance earth spell that you can work with and create. You know, you could even do that on a Jupiter day, right? There's so many ways that you can work with this magic and make it potent. When it's not there, call it in and then build upon it.
I love that because, you know, I always talk about studying the invisible world, and people think, oh, well, you know, it's not really any use to me because it's the invisible world. And right there, we just had 5 minutes of, you know, evidence of how we can use the invisible world to manifest and bring down, you know, that abundance flow and those opportunities into our everyday life. And this is the beauty of the Hermetic path. I just, you know, it just, you know, makes me smile all the time because it's so valuable. So I love all these suggestions.
Yeah, when it's not available one way, it's available another, right? And part of the healing is to develop and cultivate and purify that relationship. Even if Jupiter's in the greatest place in your chart, don't take it for granted. Work on that relationship anyways. And if he's not, you know, I always tell people, remember, the things that are considered to be in detriment in your chart start off that way. But if you apply yourself and you're diligent to healing that relationship, you can actually become a master at it.
I love that.
We very often choose to detriment things in our chart when we are a master of them in spirit.
Yes. It's so amazing. We have it all at the fingertips, all there. You've already got a comment. I will book a call with you ASAP. I think that was from the lottery doing numbers on the Jupiter day. Anyway,
I hope I help people win the lottery. Seriously, I know a lot of good people, and if they have money, then they can do good things.
I hear you. And so people can book, you know, a session with you to do the chart, which is really cool. So, you know, they can just get in touch with you via email, can't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone is always welcome to email me. And I love questions too.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hope I produce some real lotto winners.
Yes. Well, even if not, then what
or abundant people through service. That's great too.
Exactly. Even if not, we know that we can heal. We know that we can utilize the energies of Jupiter to help with our marketing, to help with our, whatever we're doing in our life. You know, these streams of income. We can find out a bit more about ourselves. We can get to know ourselves more, which is obviously why we are walking this path, so that we can have access to all this. So you know, I highly recommend that. And Ala's made some really great suggestions of the Kabbalistic rich healing that's going to be available widely soon, and also universal Kabbalah, which the Hermetic ray Kabbalah. So you have plenty of choices. Anything else, Al, that we need to know before we finish up?
If you need a little bit of a something in the moment, basil. Basil oil, carry the basil herb. It contains the essence of Jupiter. So if you just need to carry some luck with you in the moment, that's the way to go.
We love that top tip, and you heard it here. So we're going to have, everybody's going to be walking around with
basil or cloves.
I love it, though. Or both. I love that. I love it. Thank you so much. And you can get in touch with Al. Her details are in, you know, in the subject below. Al, what's your email address, just so I can just pop it in into the.
Yes, of course. It's Aleks, Aleks at masterthestars.com. Or here, I can actually type it in here.
I think it's Aleks at masterthestars.com. There you go. And here you go.
Oops, I put that in the private chat.
Yeah, I've got a new little button that I've learned. So now we've got it on the screen for everybody to see.
Oh, amazing.
That is wonderful. Al, thank you so much. And we're going to be seeing you in a few weeks for another chat.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Please give Al a call. Take her up on all of her advice. You have access to so many different options there, and let's all get in those abundance streams.
Yes, wishing you all loads and loads and truckloads of abundance.
Yay! Take care for now. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.